19-Day Feast Pages for Kids, Lionhearts from the Time of the Bab. This month we feature a story called Courageous and Fearless about the end of the battle at Fort Tabarsi. The Gym Kids would like to welcome you and start with this quotation from the Bab. All should dwell within his, God's, cradle of protection. Before we start with the story, think of these questions. How long did the Battle of Fort Sheikh Tabarsi last? What did the Babis yell when facing their enemies? From October 1848 until May 1849, Mullah Hussein and Qudus led the band of gentle, loving Babis at Fort Sheikh Tabarsi. When facing their enemies, they would shout, "O Lord of the Age," a title of the Bab. This would often drive the armies away for weeks. The Babis were inspired by Mullah Hussein's bravery, reverence, and patience. Qudus comforted them with newly revealed prayers and explanations of the Bab's holy writings. In January, Qudus was injured in battle. He was unable to talk. He encouraged the Babis by writing, "We should submit to whatever is the will of God. We should stand firm and steadfast in the hour of trial." Though Qudus's body was in pain, his heart was very happy. He thanked God for having allowed him to fight for his cause. As winter set in, those in power were determined to get rid of the Bab and his followers. The Babis were branded as corrupt, and killing them became obligatory for faithful Muslims. Those in power thought surely this would end the new faith. However, across Persia, thousands more were joining the Bab's movement. The new young Shah of Persia was being advised by his corrupt prime minister. Because of the lies he was being told, the king sent 12,000 trained soldiers to Fort Sheikh Tabarsi. Still, the Babis stood strong. They shouted, "O Lord of the Age," as they defended themselves. The Shah's soldiers fled at the sound and sight of the Babis. Many of them told others that the Babis were the troops of God. As spring came, thousands more skilled soldiers still had not defeated the few hundred Babis. The Babis may have been weakened from lack of food, but their faith was undiminished. They were heroic in deeds, radiant in heart, and valiant in the face of fear. When the Babis were deprived of food, they boiled grass, ate horse meat and bones, and even leather from shoes, belts, and saddles. When the water was almost gone, Qudus prayed, and it rained and then snowed the next day. That's amazing. Mullah Hussein knew that the Babis could not survive much longer. The Shah's armies had them surrounded and they could not leave to get supplies. He addressed the companions and said, "Whoever is willing to be martyred, let him prepare himself. This night, before the hour of dawn, let those who wish to join me be ready to come out from behind these walls." Then he and the remaining Babis prepared themselves for martyrdom. At the determined time, the gates of the fort were opened, and Mullah Hussein led the Babis. They called out, "O Lord of the Age," as they charged the forces. They overthrew all 7 of the Shah's barricades. In the aftermath of the battle, Mullah Hussein's horse became tangled in the rope of a tent. An enemy soldier who was hiding in a nearby tree shot Mullah Hussein in the chest. 2 Babis carried him back to the fort. Qudus stayed with him until he died a few hours later. The Shah's armies had been defeated once again and would not return for 45 days. 45 days later, 2 regiments of 750 men arrived and began firing on the Babis. Qudus immediately sent a small band of men to face them. The 19 men charged into the camp of soldiers, crying, "O Lord of the Age!" The whole army fled in fear and confusion. The Shah soon realized that the only way to defeat the Babis would be through trickery. He wrote a promise and a copy of the Holy Quran pledging safety to the remaining Babis. When Qudus received the message, he knew it was a trick. In spite of this, they gave themselves up. They were being respectful of the holy book, even if the Shah was not. Some of the Babis were captured and sold as slaves. A few escaped. Many were tortured and killed. Qudus was taken to the house of the head religious leader in Barfarouche, where he met his fate. He was heard to say, Forgive, O my God, the trespasses of this people. Deal with them in thy mercy, for they know not what we already have discovered and cherished. Show them, O God, the way of truth, and turn their ignorance into faith. Thus the battle of Fort Sheikh Tabarsi ended. When the Bab heard the news, he was devastated. He mourned alone for 9 days. He was unable to write for many months. Let's revisit the Lionheart questions. How long did the Battle of Fort Sheikh Tabarsi last? What did the Babis yell when facing their enemies? In every setting, there is pure joy in engaging other souls in meaningful and uplifting conversations that lead, whether quickly or gradually, to the stirrings of spiritual susceptibilities. The Universal House of Justice, Rizwan, 2019.